So last night I was reading this blog post that I wrote a couple years ago, and basically I wrote that blog post, I think it was like the day before I decided to delete all my social media apps, and in the post it was basically like a short rant about how the apps were just like consuming my life too much. I was caring like way too much about like what other people thought, and I was just like taking the apps way too seriously, and I just felt like it was a waste of time and I wasn't really adding anything to my life. So I just wanted to go on like a 1-year break from it and see like what do I learn from this year off. Going a year off of social media is very telling of who your real friends are. It's just like so telling like who actually will go out of their way to maintain contact with you, because I feel like 90% of people just will not. I no longer had that need to like inform people about what I was doing. How much I procrastinated less without these apps. Like you just develop like this really peaceful like headspace.
So if you want to create things and cultivate this ability to search for things in yourself and to put them on the page or on the canvas or wherever you want to put them, then you need to have the ability to concentrate and to focus. So you need to have the ability to sit down for long periods of time without getting interrupted. So I noticed then when I was using social media, I was really distracted and not really able to focus on the things that mattered to me. So I was becoming more scatterbrained and anxious, and it became harder for me to focus on hard things like reading difficult texts or writing or drawing, even drawing for long periods of time. Things I used to enjoy and things that are really part of my business. So instead I was drawn back to check my profiles all the time. Let's go back to the artist who keeps getting distracted by social media. So what's obvious is that these distractions diminish our ability to go into focused work states. They also change our relationship to attention. As for me, I was constantly thinking of how I can produce more content for someone's feed. Do you notice the wording? The kind of thinking that these companies have introduced, particularly for members of the creative industry because they produce the most beautiful pieces of content out there, is not only time-consuming and distraction-inducing, it's a downright affront on intellectual property rights. A lot of artists have a hard enough time already convincing people to pay for their work, illustrations, music, texts, videos, etc. All of this is worth something. It's someone's intellectual property. And on social media platforms, you agree to produce an endless stream of content for free, making it even harder to convince people to pay you for your work. I don't want to be a content creator for them, and you shouldn't either.
I had all these what-if thoughts in my head, like what if one of my friends broke his phone and tried messaging me through Snapchat? What if a cute girl follows me on Instagram? What if one of my friends tags me in a photo on Facebook and I look bad for not liking or commenting on it? And while I was having all these what-if thoughts in my head, I was also realizing just how compulsively I was checking my phone. At least 10 times an hour, I just pick it up, look at it, realize I deleted all my apps, and then put it back down again. Number 3 is addiction and increased usage. Social media is a goldmine for hindering productivity and increasing procrastination. I'm a strong believer that your time is worth more than your money, and having something powerful enough to distract you for hours on end in your pocket does you a huge disservice. Number 4 is anxiety and loneliness. As humans, we need face-to-face contact. And just, I'm starting to realize how they were a huge coping mechanism for me. If I was super stressed at work, overloaded with assignments at school, or had family issues at home, I was using those apps like crazy because I knew they could keep me distracted super well instead of just being used to keep in touch with my friends or stay up to date on the news. Now, at that point, I only thought of social media as hurting us as individuals, as it was taking away all those things I mentioned before. But I then saw a film, listened to a few podcasts, and saw a couple TED Talks that opened my eyes to the damage social media does to society and humanity. The film I saw was The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and it pretty much, among other things, explained how these algorithms work to manipulate our attention and our psychology against us, how fake news travels 6 times faster than real news, and how it leads to increased political polarization, etc., etc. But what was really scary was how the effects of social media can ripple through our societies. Like, Facebook has incited genocides. Twitter can swing entire elections. And even these social media tech CEOs don't let their own kids use social media. However, I always saw YouTube as more of a forum.
And so things I was dealing with while I was on social media was the constant need of just seeking validation from people. I was constantly posting selfie after selfie after selfie on Instagram, just loving that temporary happiness and just fulfillment of people swiping up on my videos and putting heart eyes. Meanwhile, they don't really care about me. These guys don't really care about me. They don't want to get to know me. They just want me for one thing. I needed to show people and prove to people that I was happy, that I was having fun. It was horrible. I was so obsessed with just vanity that I couldn't post a picture of myself without using a filter. You guys know, anybody who's watching this still has Instagram, those filters that slim out your nose and make your lips bigger and make your cheek bones higher and just snatch your face. I literally was so used to my face looking how it looked on filters that I didn't even like how my natural face looked, and that's when I knew I had a problem. So if you're not content being single, if you're not content just with yourself, independent, doing things on your own, just content in your singleness, you won't find that contentness in a guy or a girl.
So basically, I'm one of those people that checks stories. Like, I don't just click on the people I want. Like, I watch all of them and I like check them off. So I was creating this responsibility for myself for no reason. I was just like, okay, you need to go through, and Instagram even updates you and it says on there, you've checked everything for the past 2 days. And I'm like, okay, good. I got to that point. I'm good. I've seen every post. I've seen every story. Everything is cleared, right? That was my whole like thing. Unconsciously, I'm making this task for myself. So I have this responsibility that's not even necessary.
I feel like it's grown into this comparison platform. And, maybe I can't speak for everyone on this. Maybe not everyone has this problem. But for me personally, I've definitely noticed that it drives a scarcity mindset in me, because when I'm looking at my feed and I'm seeing all of these people, looking better than me or driving better cars than me, and they're younger than me, things like that, it makes me feel like I'm not doing good, and I think first I want to touch on beauty standards a little bit, because I feel like a lot of people have fallen into this trap of believing that they are not beautiful, they are not good enough. And it may be subconscious. A lot of people have those subconscious beliefs. And because of that, they want to do things to their body that they would otherwise never think about doing. I've met multiple girls who want plastic surgery or, want different treatments or whatever, because they are on social media and they're comparing themselves to, other women on there who maybe have better bodies or better facial features or whatever. And what you have to understand is that, first of all, a lot of the things that you see on social media in terms of beauty standards are not real, and this is something that I didn't realize. I didn't know this before 2020. I remember, I think I was talking to a girl at the time, and she asked me what I used to edit my pictures on Instagram. And, when she asked me that, I thought she was talking about the filters, and I told her I don't use filters. And she said, no, what do you use to edit your pictures? And I was like, edit? Like, what do you mean? And then she basically explained to me that people use apps to edit their pictures, like edit the way that their facial features look, or, the lighting and all of that before they post them. And, I know nothing about photography or any of that, but this is beyond photography. They have things like Facetune, which allow you to literally change your physical facial features. And I was completely unaware of this. And I was comparing myself to these people thinking that I wasn't a good looking person, when in reality, a lot of people on Instagram, and this is especially for Instagram, a lot of people on that platform edit their pictures. It's crazy to me that, we go on social media and we see these teenagers, all of these TikTok stars and these young YouTubers or whatever, who are like 18, 19, buying Ferraris and things like that, moving to LA. And, we feel like we're failures. So take what you got and make the most of that. make the most of what you have and do what you can, follow your passion. And don't compare yourself to anybody. Don't compete with anybody. Just stay in your own lane. Stay in your lane, stay focused. Okay, on social media, I feel like people are bullied into adopting certain ideologies because so many people are against something that it makes you feel like you're wrong for believing in something different. When in reality, if you are following the masses, you're only going to go as far as they go. What I've realized is that if you want to go anywhere in life, you have to go against the grain sometimes. People have shorter attention spans, okay? It makes you have a shorter attention span. And I think that TikTok is the biggest culprit here, okay? When you have a lot of videos that are, 15 seconds to a minute long, and it's just constant stimulation. That is terrible for you because at that point, you're not going to be able to read books anymore. You're not going to want to do any of that. You're going to become addicted to that stimulation. And when you can't sit there in a room by yourself in silence anymore, that's a problem. Okay, that's a problem because now you're not able to get in tune with yourself. And this is also where that groupthink comes in because when you don't have a set belief system within you already, you are susceptible to whatever other people tell you. So, you need to get more in tune with yourself, but you can't do that if you're addicted to stimulation. And, as a result of this addiction to stimulation and this shorter attention span, a lot of people have developed an addiction to instant gratification. A lot of people are not willing to put in the work to start their own business and, stick with it until it turns a profit. And this is where a lot of those miserable, bitter people come in at. They're not willing to put in the work, so they project their insecurities and their bitterness onto other people and try to shame people for going against the grain and following their dreams. It's not worth it. The return on investment is not there.
Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, they initiate something called forced consumption, which basically means that you have little to no control over what pops up on your newsfeed. Even if you choose what people you want to follow, those people tend to have their own unique interests. And for me, a lot of the people that I follow, they tend to indulge in things that I have no interest in or I may find offensive. And sometimes, and I didn't even mention that, and Twitter itself, the platform of Twitter, also has a habit of cluttering my mind with information that I find completely useless, like today's Rihanna's birthday, or what Lori Harvey is doing, who won the Super Bowl, what Prince Harry's family is doing, how do people feel about Megan Thee Stallion's latest photo shoot. These are things that I don't care to have cluttering my mind. I didn't even mention the constant sexual jokes and innuendos that people like to post, or the thirst traps that women like to post on IG who have surgically altered bodies, or men who are on steroids. These are all things that take up mental space. I feel like I have to devote more energy in my day when I'm consuming these in mass, when I'm spending a lot of time on social media. I have to filter out all that just to get to my own thoughts. It was that serious. Because the engineers and marketing developers who created these platforms created them with one goal in mind: profit. They didn't create these platforms to promote physical and mental well-being in society.